Okay, on the agenda, there's item 8, we're not going to do because Meg is going to brief us on that when she does her report. Any public comment? I guess we don't have anybody from the public. Okay, hearing none. Can we have the minutes of last meeting?
Is attached, and it wasn't attached, but I assume it's going to be attached. My only comment on the minutes.
Oh, it wasn't, okay.
It wasn't
attached
within
to
the,
town.
what was sent out.
Okay,
Should make the on Zoom separate.
On the second page, director's report, it's the attached.
It should go under in person and then on Zoom. Then not attendance.
Okay.
Yeah. Move to accept the minutes.
I get a second on the minutes?
Second.
Discussion on the motion, All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And treasurer's report.
Okay, so for the 4-month period ending October 31, we spent 28,773 out of our general fund appropriation, which is consistent with other months for the past year, and is within our budget. Within the grants column, I didn't add the second page because we didn't have any show any activity on grants. The formula grant, the first payment did come in. It just hasn't been recorded yet by the town. We received 16,000 from the grant, 16 something from the grant. What was it? 16,
185.
185 for this installment. We'll get 2. It did increase by $1 per person age 60 and above from last year. So it's now paying $15 per person 60. Based on the 2020 census. So that's great. So
Yeah.
an extra
It's
$2
Go
grand.
the other way, you know, they subtract 89 cents.
Yeah, well, we caught up, I guess. I
Right.
don't know. So that's great news. So that will be reflected, I'm sure, next month. And we don't show any expenses because this month, in October, it's typically the kitchen coordinator whose payroll gets charged through that fund, but it's now going through. There is a line item payroll for kitchen coordinator, which is 50% of her expected payroll. We're going to split it between the two. So Meg has switched over to the line item within the budget itself.
Okay.
The pergola grant, we still have 5 that has not yet come in on that grant on the accounting records. Maybe it's come into town and the accountant just
Okay, so that's
hasn't
the state.
reported it. That's the state grant.
Got it.
Yeah. And
That was this summer.
yes, but we had to submit, which we did before
Yeah.
June 30th.
Yeah.
You know, the expenditure. I don't know if it's come in or not, but no one anticipates a problem
Counting
with
on
that.
it.
Maybe when the accountant comes on board, we'll, you know, there might be some catch up to do.
Oh, we got another accountant again?
Not yet. We've been interviewing, right?
Oh,
For
okay.
the town, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, have they since?
So they're using a consulting firm right now, using a consulting firm.
Oh,
So they may stick with that for quite a while.
who's the consultant? Just
don't
curious, do you know?
Do
Well, at least somebody's on board.
we cheat them and how? Yes, sir.
Oh my Bingham, Bingham and Bustle. So that will, I expect will be coming in. And the remaining CPA funds and disbursements is all going through a town account. So we're not getting it in our CEA department reports. but maybe Paul will
What is it?
be able to give it.
What is
some
the point
update
to be in
on
there?
that. Excuse me?
What is the point to be in there?
What is the point of it being in there?
No, 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 what? I
What
missed
did you
said,
say
what
is
was-
in-
Oh, the CPA money, the 75,000 and the expenditures to date on the pergola.
Right, so I think, well, Tracy primarily has been handling all of that. I don't know if she does that as a regular thing for
Probably
everybody.
for all CPA money.
Yeah.
But I think we need to be aware
Know
of,
what our balance is anyway.
well, we don't. I mean, I did last month because I got that report, but we don't get that report on a regular basis. Meg had asked for it specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe
well,
Tracy,
you should account for it here.
I don't. It's not in there.
Yeah, we should put it on here, though.
That's what I like. I mean, they have the vans on there, they have the HVAC on there, but they don't have the CP.
Yeah, so
Hey, money.
the account they put the 500,000 in,
That's probably gonna go away.
yes, we had some conversations last month that, got misinterpreted to other people in the town. So when we were talking last month about the pergola expense, and they wanted to do the $6,000 worth of electricity. What I said was, we have a facilities account, we should put that in. So somebody misunderstood that to mean facilities is going to pay for it.
Oh.
So the people at facilities got their feathers up and said, I don't know where that came from. We're not paying for it. So we have a facilities account, which is where money has been put in to take care of the building. Like the HVAC, 500 that went in here, money that was left over for all the patio furniture. When we first moved in here, we had money. We had, I forget the amount, maybe it was like $50,000 to buy things we need, like patio furniture, the rockers out front, that kind of stuff. And we had it in a separate account so we could track it.
Not on our books. I don't think within our department.
Yeah, it was on our, it was in our chart of accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I can go back and look at some previous financials and give you the account number, but.
Yeah.
So when you saw the 500 for the HVAC, that was not in the CEA chart of account?
Okay, why don't we meet and go over it? 'Cause
Okay.
I'll show you the reports that I get. from
Okay.
Richard. And then maybe you can show me what you're.
So in the town, when they have the chart of accounts?
Yeah.
I think the first two digits are the department.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So
Right.
we should have a line item for the facility.
There is not one at present.
No.
And we don't have a 10-year plan built in, so we're working on that right now as well.
There's a facilities line item within our budget, but that's like $3,000.
Yeah, that's what I know. Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Oh,
It should
well,
be,
that's
yeah.
not 50,000. That's
No, because
3,000, I think.
we spent it all down over the years.
Oh, no, this is an ongoing annual budget line item that gets, we'll see every year.
Okay.
But
Be-
the 50, unless it's in with the grants, I mean, it could be part of that you're thinking.
That's
Could,
fine. Love to see what the account they put the 500 in.
I'll show it to you. I have it.
Good.
Yep.
Because you spent a lot of time straightening out the gift accounts, right? So we ironed all those out. And then we have accounts for our regular operating budget, which is supplies going one thing, office supplies going another, that kind of thing. So you can see where you're spending your money. And we had one originally for that have to be done to the building. So that makes. The account number slip.
Let's get that account number and find out the balance in it.
Yeah, because if we're 10 years into the building and,
Right.
the town pays for the expenses of the building on a regular basis, it's depending on whose budget it comes out of and how do you budget for it. So when we would go in front of advisory, we would say, hey, we need, we have $5,000 in this account. We want to make it 6. And they'll say, why? And it's like, well, when we move into the building, we're going to be in a much larger space. We're going to need more supplies, and things like that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, the last thing people thought about was paper plates and toilet paper, right?
Right.
All of a sudden you're like, hey, what's going on? The budget's here. So we didn't have, the copy machine budget that ended up going to the town budget instead of our budget. you know, so we kind of traded off expenses. So, but we should do something like that because if we're gonna do the electricity for 6,000, I don't believe we should take it out of the CPC money because we went to them for the pergola. Specifically the pergola and the awnings. But, so the 6,000 should come out of our account that I'll find. And we can go to town meeting next fall, the spring, and just put in $6,000 for electrical work for outside use.
Do we agree? I mean, I thought that money was pretty high. $6,000 for electricity out there. I talked to Glenn on that and he said, well, that's what they came back with. And I said, well, you know, what does it buy us? I mean, we're putting grills out there or something or?
Yeah, so part of it was, I guess they wanted to put 220 out there.
Yeah,
I don't
Can't
know.
imagine what for.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't know if it's single phase, 3-phase, 4-phase, you know what I mean? I don't know.
We have had a lot of breakage.
Oh,
Breakers,
Snap,
even
yeah.
like this, heater plugged in with this one, things will go off. So I think the hope was if there were heaters out there and any electricity for
So
presentation.
we can talk to them because you would want to put in like a couple of 15 amp dedicated lines for that. So that if you run a heater, it doesn't shut the power off in the kitchen. So we probably should talk to them about it, saying, hey, thanks for your $6,000, but let's have a plan of what we want, what we need, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that,
Maybe they're planning a hot tub out there. Who knows?
yeah, well, we could do physical therapy and get a grant. So I think whatever the balance is for CPC,
Mhm.
stay with us.
Oh, definitely.
And not
Well,
use it until we figure out what to do with the awnings.
exactly. And it won't even cover the awnings that
Mhm.
we've talked about.
Right.
So we will be short. I will request of Tracy to send us a regular accounting. I don't know who's reviewing the whole, but we're on it. We were the ones who received the CPA money. We're the ones that authorize thing. I think we should be responsible and know where we stand at all
Well, we did
times.
last month, I thought.
Reporting the expenses for sure.
We did, but we
Yeah.
don't, on a regular basis.
Yeah,
We're responsible.
and we've got to use that by June, right?
No.
No, it
No.
goes forever?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes, okay.
The grant money from the state we had to use by June.
Yeah, that was gone, yeah.
The, actually, the minutes say it has to be used by June 30th, but you didn't say what year, so I didn't bother. 2020, what would it be? It's 24, 27, June 2027.
We had
Math
to
tell.
spend it by June 30th, but they won't reimburse us apparently for a while. So
Alrighty, so we'll go through Tracy, get that updated, and you and I can meet up and go over that other account that you're referring to. And under ARPA, which is the third grant that we had, that 3888. It's just a reversal of a prior entry because the account has been closed out. It ended at the end of June. Under revolving fund, we have an excess of receipts over expenditures at October 31 of over $7,000. Meg's going to talk about some work, a lot of work that she's been doing with respect to my senior center. It's really going to have the end result of improving our internal controls exponentially. She'll be able to eventually, at some point, maybe, can't do it perfectly, but reconcile my senior center to the cash class, sign up sheets on the cash received, and it'll all reconcile to the turnover report to the town. So that's huge. I mean, it took years for us, I think, to get used to my senior center and make
You're
it
talking
work.
about my active center that we
Yeah.
sign in on?
Yes, exactly. So that'll be great. That's a great control. And there's a lot of other stuff that's going on with respect to internal controls internally that are all good, really good stuff going on. So I think that 7,500 is probably going to drop next month, but we'll see what happens there. Under gift accounts, we received 5,550 during October, 5,000 being for the social worker. St. Stephen's gives 500 periodically, and then there's a MAPA transportation item. And expenditures out of that are all for a social worker. Our balance under gift funds, once those carryovers are recorded, which should happen soon, I think, is 61,216, and of that 34,052 is unrestricted. So if we choose to go into the gift accounts to pay for the pergola sunscreen, I mean, money is there. Same with Formula Grant. Formula Grant has a lot of money in it. So we do have funds available if we run short. And whatnot. So under those capital accounts, you know, we show 590,000 as our balance because 500 represents that HVAC, which we're never really going to control. And we show a receipt during October of 22,826, representing the net received on that sale and purchase of the vans that Bob Sylvia talked to us about last month. And that was the number that he had given us last month. Any comments, questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
The $15 per person, what is that based on?
Gold.
No, but how do they figure how many? People?
Oh, they get the census, the
Yeah.
2020
So
census.
it's the people who live here.
Yes,
Not,
They're
not
active.
participants,
Okay.
not
not
people who,
correct.
yeah.
Yep. The
Number
town,
of residents over the age of 60
Right.
registered in the
60
town.
plus, yeah. And I mean, every town in the Commonwealth receives a grant. And those grants, I mean, that information is amazing. People get 500,000, you know, I mean, there's a lot of money going out on that.
So is there also money that we get based on participation? Is that different?
No.
Oh,
I know that's settled.
because
It does get said,
everyone says, you know, make sure you check in because we get paid.
right?
Okay.
One per, yeah.
Well, it is a good measure though for us to have, so certainly
Oh,
we
yeah,
could,
no.
in applying for grants and supporting those things, it's helpful.
Sure.
Yeah, our current grants don't do that, but certainly
There are
future
different grants
can.
throughout the year that,
Right,
that we could apply for. And they'll always ask, well, how many people, you know,
Yeah.
if we want a grant for exercise classes, like, well, how many people would do exercise? I see. So that's helpful.
I just have a general observation I'd just like to comment on too. Obviously, the last couple of months have been really difficult for everybody. Board, town leadership, staff, it's a tough time. But I must say, I am so impressed with how the staff has come together. We thought you know, it was really going to be a tough thing, and I'm sure it still is. But what they're doing, I think, is extraordinary, and I applaud you all. So, just observation.
Can I get a motion on the treasurer's report?
Second.
On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. All right, director's report.
I will get this shorter for you someday, but so transportation update, had total rides, 358, unduplicated riders, 50, electric car, 26 rides, 11 riders. So based on our feedback from the program survey, we're exploring an afternoon programming offering. Additionally, Chief Sylvia is not able to be here today, but he's at a Walmart trip, helping people who want to prepare for the holidays. And we'll see if this is a good response, if it's something that we should consider in the future. And we're also keeping in mind the potential of launching an afternoon local program to address people's concern with, you know, additional afternoon programming to maybe after lunch and for a couple hours, go somewhere in the community and utilize transportation services more, because we are lucky at how much availability we have with that. On this Friday, the 22nd, Representative Machino is coming in for District Day. If anyone wants to come in, it will be at 11:30. Have 143 TV. I have to say thank you to Don and Adam. They've been doing a wonderful job coming in. I'm sure you've all seen them. And their filming is near completion. I'm helping them with a script right now that they're going to review, and I'll probably work with Adam on doing a voiceover. And I would like to bring that to the group as soon as we get it for feedback and comments on what you think of it and if we can make any improvements or tweaks anywhere. So as soon as that's completed, I'll share that with the group. The bocce court, I just want to say thank you to the facilities team. They went out of their way to replace the rotting wood on the bocce courts, and that was really kind of them. So, thank you to
They did a
them.
real good job.
They did.
Great.
Yeah, that's good.
And additionally, there's some new games, whether or not they will stay, but,
Can't be done.
So for staffing, we're hiring a 16-hour front desk person, Monday through Thursday, around the hours of 8:30 to 12:30. The job is open and currently posted. I did get to drive around with Dawn for Meals on Wheels and really got to, talk to someone who's been doing this for so long, and it was a really meaningful experience. So as we look for additional support at the front desk, it would be important to increase recognition for our volunteers. So I'm hopeful with that role, we can also utilize it at the front desk to sort of find a way to appreciate and honor volunteers too more
How is the Meals on Wheels funded?
through social elder services.
Okay,
And Richie does a great job with that program and maintaining it, so. And actually through our, ride around the community, there were a few people that didn't necessarily know that transportation existed. So we were able to let them know, so that's a good thing. And from that, one person has since started to attend the center, so I think sometimes people just might not know.
do we run that for the cafe? Transportation?
We're happy to if it's requested, and sometimes we do. Yep.
Okay,
Do we have enough drivers for Meals on Wheels?
So right now we're looking for some volunteer drivers. We are also, in addition to that, we're kind of in a place where we have 2 drivers primarily. And so I'm going to work with Bob to hopefully in January do a transportation survey and identify where people are wanting to go and maybe support the need for that 3rd driver that they probably need. But it's just kind of in between right now. So they've both, between Steve, Bob, and other people too, have been kind of probably needing that 3rd person. But if we have a new afternoon program and if people want to go to Market Basket, then maybe we can support that need.
I had a question, a couple of months ago. I was trying to find out about Meals on Wheels for a friend. And I had trouble finding information. I think it used to be in Vista. But that particular month it wasn't. And I did eventually get information from Richie. They were hard to connect to, and I think maybe we ought to just every month have Meals on Wheels, how people should contact them.
Yeah,
Good
Because
idea.
it's sort of an
Yeah.
emergency when it happens.
Yeah.
This person was
Yeah,
coming home
good
from
idea.
rehab and she couldn't cook.
Um,
It took like more than a week to make any kind of arrangement with that.
yeah, I think that's a great idea. So we can have that as an ongoing theme in the Vista. That's absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
So we can reinsert that. And then additionally, I'm working a little bit on the website. And that's not always an easy process for everyone, just as resources that people can
Yeah,
hopefully
I didn't
refer
get
to
that
easily.
either.
But that again. But yes, that's a great idea. We can add that.
how long do the Meals on Wheels delivery take? Is that an hour or more than that?
It depends. We had a really nice experience with a really nice interaction, and we were there for about 45 minutes. So it depends on the day.
The numbers change from day to day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not always the same number,
Oh,
but it's generally between an hour and hour
two,
and 15 or so.
But yeah, I think that day it probably took us about 2 hours, but I would agree with.
People have different stuff. Some people will stay and chat a little bit. Some people just move along.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So is.
well, it's not moving along, you're delivering, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you're
Or you
getting
drop
from
it
one
in the
house to the
box.
next house.
Oh, okay, all right.
And what I saw was a lot of people really look forward to that visit.
Oh,
So,
okay, it's a benefit.
And those are our regular drivers that do Meals on Wheels as well as the driving for the center itself. Is that right?
No.
Or are they
No, typically
volunteer? They are
separate.
volunteer. That's
Mhm.
what I thought. Okay.
Yes, and you know, a lot of people have been doing it for a very, very long time. So the relationship, you know,
Yeah.
it's really kind of heartwarming to see.
Yeah.
So transportation fleet update, Bob has been working diligently on this. He did receive some news on Friday that the E350 is no longer available for 2024. I know, and the 2025.
One we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
He is still working on this outside of that, but the 2025 model may come with a price increase. But because he had meticulous management with the vans, he was able to get a good trade-in, so it should allow us to stay within budget nonetheless. So that's good. Shine counseling and open enrollment. We've had Sula Spida come in and she has been a vital resource during this open enrollment. I don't think people realize, and it's probably something I'll write about next month, is we've had significant cost increases this year between 10 to 40%. So appointments have been booking quickly. We still have availability. I think we're one of the few centers that have availability. And that's really because Sue has been incredibly accessible. I think there will be a time within the next 3 weeks that we may have to refer people to call the Shine line directly. Because she has been coming in 2 days a week and she is volunteering. So, you know, we're incredibly grateful for everything she's been doing. So we did the community needs assessment in collaboration with Social Elder Services and the Housing Authority. The data collection is underway and I'll share it as it's updated, assessed and analyzed. I think it went well. I don't know if you heard feedback on it.
I did from down there. I haven't from here. Did you get some
Yeah.
responses here? I
We
know some
did.
boxes.
I know, I have to take the box out, but she, Donna from Social Elder Services sat in the hallway last week.
Yeah.
And I think she was able to gain quite a few. So we already know that there's a need that exists, so just supporting that need and, you know, it'd be good to see that data. So she was able to pick one housing authority and she picked ours, so that was good. Anything else on the housing authority, Taffy, that?
No, I've been out of commission for a while.
Our
We
Thanksgiving,
are fully staffed and I wasn't here in time for the minutes, but we need to make a correction of that. We put it off.
Okay.
Just something there doesn't make sense. So that's all. We'll cross it out or whatever, but we are fully staffed and I heard about the but they had a meeting last Wednesday before the needs assessment person came to meet with people. So heard that I was was very well received. People seem really happy.
the Thanksgiving luncheon is approaching this Thursday. It's going to be a busy day. They also have the employee recognition event that evening. So we already have upwards of mid-70s in responses, so we are managing a wait list. So we are just trying to be diligent of that, make confirmation calls and try to get everyone in that we possibly can.
What is the decision-making process for the number of attendants?
So I think that's something that we need to look at too more in the future, but ideally, I would like to include everyone who wants to come, but I know that there's more to that in terms of who's available to cook and.
It's basically the amount of stuff we can do in a given period of time.
Yeah.
Satisfy however. and Right now. 7 months ago, how much we could manage.
with the number of volunteers.
Right.
So it's not the, it's not the number of volunteers that.
Right.
it- Thanks.
Time that it takes.
Because we're going to be coming up on our 10th year anniversary of this. When we first opened this center, well, every year in Cohasset, they would have a Thanksgiving Day luncheon for free at Atlantica would pay for that, right? So everyone would go to Atlantica for lunch there for Thanksgiving. And then they would have a Christmas lunch at Christmas time. We moved into the building in 2014 and there was new ownership of the restaurant and we didn't have the opportunity to have it there. So the following year, since we had the commercial kitchen, we said, why don't we cook it here? So we contacted Joe and his wife, Campbell, right? And Janet Campbell. And said, could you cook us lunch? And they said, we'll show you how to cook lunch. And, you know, Diana's like, I'll go down to BJ's, I'll get the vegetables. And Anna's like, all right, I'll run over here, I'll get that. And I said, I'll get the turkeys. So it worked out very well. And it, you know, at that point, it was like 100 people. Then it got down to, it averaged about 80 people after that. We've kind of capped it at that same reason that Jim had mentioned, you know, so now it's down to 70. So I'm just curious. I know a lot of people are like, well, I really wanted to go, but, you know, so for next year, we could kind of get ahead of it as to how we can accommodate people. If it's more people cooking or if it's more prep work early on is the reason, then we can identify resources for that. And that would determine if we can have, you know, 75 people or 80 or whatever the number is.
And that could be worthy of a subcommittee too, just for planning ahead
Yeah.
for the future for these types of things.
And it should be, you know, not just the Thanksgiving, but we do, you know, we do Christmas, we do the Valentine's Day luncheon, and then there's usually a St. Patrick's Day. So there's at least 4. And
Oktoberfest.
End of summer.
please do the cookout for the summer, right?
Well, the end of summer.
Father's Day.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
the community dinners.
Yeah.
There's probably a dozen.
All right, put it in the formula grant. We need another
There we
person.
go.
Exactly. Big's about to start the budget.
Yeah, so it'll be our, you know, this 2025 will be our, you know, our 10-year anniversary of doing it here. And it's worked out fantastic. So
How many people on the wait list? You know?
About 20.
Wow.
So
And we usually pick up, about half,
mhm.
we usually can accommodate, because as it gets closer, Agnes is sick, or this one has company, or, you know, blah, 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 yeah, so. I was trying to think the maximum amount of people, Paul, that fit in the dining room.
Space is a
we
non-issue.
have the capacity for it.
Yeah, we have the capacity, don't we?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah,
So you can fit comfortably 10 people at the round table, at the
correct.
main table. Put a, you know, 10 table, you got 100 people, so.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't have any, well, as far as the waiting list, I don't have any problem with making Cohasset residents their availability to come, that's first. But it really bothers me that if some Cohasset folks don't get to come. So I think we ought to look on expanding the service if it's possible.
Is there a certain point where we do accept, Cohasset people only?
So to try to be equitable while honoring Cohasset, this year, what we did was we delineated 15 spots for out of town and then the remaining
Okay,
for
Yep.
Cohasset. That way, there are certain people from Situate that are here, or Hingham, that are here on a routine basis, and it felt wrong excluding them, so we did keep, you know, a small number open to out of town, but predominantly Cohasset
Yep, good.
first.
well, on Thanksgiving, Hull probably does 300 dinners, 300 turkeys that they give away.
Is it takeout dinners?
It's, yeah, yeah. And delivery. And delivery. They deliver to Cohasset, Situate, where have you. But Hull's been doing it for years. And
Uh-huh.
like I said, they're up to around 300 now.
Is their senior center does this or?
No, it's Wolfie. Wolfie does everything at Hull. He's like the unofficial mayor.
Oh, okay.
So
He's now on the board of the senior center.
that's right. He's now on the, well, I got a big story on that one too, but because otherwise, anyway, but he's been doing it successfully for years and he's got more volunteers than he can handle. He's probably got 300 volunteers. So they're chipping over each other. So he's trying to reduce his number of volunteers, but he's still producing 300 turkeys.
What kind of a facility do they produce it?
They, in one of the restaurants down there.
Oh, what restaurant
Yeah,
donates their
it's-
kitchen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's
Oh.
Buddy, can't remember the place. It's on Nantasket Ave though.
Daddy-O's.
Daddy-O's, that's it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Buddios.
Yeah, and he's got a setup where people pull up on the street and they've got crews just coming,
Uh-huh.
delivering the cars and then other people take, meals all over the
Right.
area. So it's, but like I say, they're pushing 300 and he's willing to do more.
Wow.
So.
People are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Well, if you have more than a 5-minute conversation with Wolfie, you end up being a volunteer.
He's one of those, huh?
I love it.
Yeah, we keep Wolfie aside. He's in the kitchen, so.
So how many, did Tana or, so, how many meals does the social service league do? Or no, thanks.
How many meals, what?
Does the social service league do on Thanksgiving, for Thanksgiving Day?
Used to be between 10 and 15. But now it's closer to 30.
Or 40, yeah.
Yeah, 30 or 40. Yeah, and that's just in a couple of years.
Meals on Thanksgiving Day.
They deliver them the day before,
Yeah.
Wednesday, and that's with the help of lunch. Yeah.
They do that at Easter too.
A lot of stuffing it going. So
Yeah. That's great.
So heating systems update. Everyone is aware of the HVAC. We are just trying to maintain a comfortable and safe environment. I think I've learned where every breaker in the building is. So if anyone identifies an area that seems to be getting colder, let us know. We're trying to be proactive. But we have had some fuses breaking, so just trying to stay on top of it.
Should facilities look at that?
So they are, yeah, and unfortunately, it's just if Diane's office and my office are plugged in at the same time, it just goes.
You're on the same circuit,
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
And then we have the computer, so we've somehow circumnavigated knowing through trial and error kind
Yeah.
of what everything is.
Diane, I'm gonna use the heater now.
Exactly.
Turn off your computer.
Yeah.
Get that extension cord out.
Sounds like Green Acres.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a bit comical, I won't lie. So the Monday Cafe, it was originally scheduled for the pancake breakfast on 11/25. It's going to be a condensed version due to Thanksgiving, and we'll have coffee and coffee cake served to honor the tradition because it will be alongside the book fair, and there will still be some members of the Friends that will be there. But due to the nature of the holiday, they wanted to reschedule to January 27th, which makes perfect sense because a lot of people would be unable to attend that week. So, but we will still have things going just to complement the book fair. So. We added in Elevate Your Strength. It's a new fitness class that will launch on December 2nd with the first session free, and it's in response to the program survey and aims to support strength and wellness. We're also working to implement a Monday afternoon class as well. And this will be a Monday morning class. There are some just December save the dates for item number 13. If you have any questions on any of those, feel free to let me know. Patty Smith has been working really hard on these. Any questions or?
How long is a Rusty Skipper event? Is it like an hour?
Maybe a little longer.
An hour and a half, yeah, so that will be great too, and if you wanna talk about that at all, feel
Oh,
free.
Well,
Um,
just,
Yeah,
and the Rusty Skippers, two of the band members' children live in Asheville or in that general area. So they've been directly impacted by the hurricane. So we are, we're gonna be around and there's gonna be perhaps a slideshow, but at least a few talks about 2 minutes, not a lot of time, 2 minutes each. Just to kind of update people what's happening now, where it's all going, and so it should be pretty good. We will be there to help people process payments should they choose to donate to this beloved, the benefit is for Beloved Asheville. That was on Channel 5. They did a little thing on the news about Beloved Asheville and the good work they're doing down there. It's just one of the community nonprofit organizations that's building homes and doing all sorts of wonderful things. So there's a group of us that'll be floating to help people do that and get the word out.
awesome. Thank you for doing that. Thanksgiving meals, the South Shore Service League has generously donated Thanksgiving meals for individuals, and then the deliveries will take place on November 27th in the early afternoon, so thank you very much for that. Quick note on mental health support, there's been an uptick in mental health related inquiries as the holidays approach. This is something that we anticipate and we're prepared for, and really having that social work program has been a great instrument in helping to address this. So Trisha's been doing a great job. A quick staff training update. We held earlier in the month a Narcan training. We continue to see the Narcan being utilized and taken. Constantly messaging Stephanie if she can drop more off. So we will also hold one for patrons. We have scheduled a de-escalation training with the Cohasset Police Department that will be in early December.
What's that about?
De-escalation training. So they'll train staff, and if there was maybe someone that was escalating in some nature, how tools and instruments on how to handle the situation without potentially getting someone more upset.
I might like to sit in on that, I think.
And that's something that you certainly could.
Yeah.
So I believe it'll be December 5th. I will get you more details.
Okay.
And if anyone else would like more details, please send that along. And additionally, Officer Wilson will be doing CPR recertification for our staff as well. Social work office hours. So I worked with Trisha on this pilot program and it's been a success. She has all of her appointments consistently booked. So that's just a testament to the need. So we're considering adding a second day to meet the demand for more one-on-one social work support with how well people are responding. MCOA conference and data reporting. I did print the updated, it's actually not even updated, it's new. Elements of an effective council on aging board that I mentioned that I would, if anyone has interest in looking at it, feel free. I did send it out before, but Diane attended
Have
on,
those available for any new board members that come on. So they'll have it.
Yeah, if it's new, I think I would suggest we should all.
Yeah.
I don't want to print it out.
Oh, good idea.
Got a copy over here for you.
Yeah, there's plenty of copies here.
I printed all 50 pages.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I said to me, "Did you print that?" I don't want to print it.
Are we supposed to change our name to COA?
No,
No,
Okay, good.
If you had read this, Rich, you would know that all
Okay,
the cities and towns have different
all right.
names for their,
so
I only read that page.
we went through this about, 10 years ago. Where, nobody wanted to come to a senior center, so all the towns were trying to figure out what to call it. So everyone was coming up with these clever names, but it's still a senior center. So there's Council on Aging and then there's Elder Affairs were the two in the state. So there's something like 40 towns that call themselves councils on aging, and everyone else calls them elder affairs kind of thing. So when you look at all the ones that are registered, it's pretty much consistent to what we're doing. But again, as I mentioned, the governor's bill that still hasn't been passed yet wants it to aging and independent living.
Yeah.
So that bill is still
Mouthful.
pending,
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens. Supposed to roll out this really nice program once the bill passes. Because I think the plan from the state's perspective is they wait for people to call them and then respond to things. And what they want to do is push the programs to the cities and towns and say, these are the programs. Go push the programs and you take the calls. We'll support you to do the work. So that's their goal. Than having a million people call them every day and get mad because the calls don't get returned for 2 weeks.
If they're lucky.
So, yeah, so that's their plan, but why they're waiting for the name change, I don't. But that's their thing.
And MCOA is such a great resource, and I did meet a board member from MCOA that is happy to share resources or have conversations with someone on the board if ever wanted, so I'm happy to share that contact if you'd like it.
So I would mention everyone before the meeting starts. So the Emmett who wrote this, basically, he had been with them for 30 years with the state. I used to talk to him like twice a year. He wrote our bylaws. He was a friend of Coral's. And so she would say, call Emmett, figure it out. So I'm like, all right, I'll call him. And so he's terrific. He retired. So he published that, which would have been great years ago. It's a really good guideline. It really is.
So
Real comprehensive. And you have to keep in mind, MCOA is a nonprofit. So it's not a state agency. So this isn't a governing document.
Oh. These are just
good to know.
good suggestions.
Mhm.
And don't we pay them an annual fee? Pay them. Isn't it MCOA that we pay?
we do.
$100 a year.
Yep, and then some of the other fees that you'll see associated are typically the conferences that Diane and I will go
Right.
to, so
Right.
sometimes you'll see that as well. But they're a great resource and they provide a lot of education for free to staff. So I know there's a assistant director and director training that you have to be in the role for at least 3 years. So I encourage Diane to take that because it's just an additional certification if she chooses. And they have a lot of other, great programs that are wonderful. And they have a new app on the phone. If anyone's interested in downloading it, it's actually really good. They did a great job. So
There's a national version of this as well.
Yeah.
Of the same type of thing.
Great.
And, but when you go there, it'll, every month is something like it's national. November is National Hospice and
there it
How
goes.
is it there?
Palliative Care Month
Sounds like fun.
across the country. Bring a friend. So every month there's something to focus on.
At the conference, I sat with Lexington Council on Aging and we were just sharing. And they noted they had a dietitian through their formula grant actually, and they came for 4 hours per week, which was interesting. And they did one-to-one counseling. I thought that was a great idea, maybe something to consider down the line for the future, especially as we looked at that program assessment. And one of the highest needs was nutrition education. So something to consider down the line, but
Don't train Joan in that.
I will not.
I don't think she's trainable in that whole stance.
Dietitian.
A dietitian or a nutritionist, something of the nature, but yeah, they said it's been going really well and it's always booked, so. And I worked with my senior center. We did have a routine audit, and that's not noted here, but we did have a routine audit just of financials through our treasurer's department, which they do on, I believe, an annual basis. And nothing major came from it, but there was a high level of petty cash in the building, and just to stay in compliance with what the policy is. If you have $500 in the building, you have to turn it over. We're already out of compliance, right? If we have $500 in petty cash, so we reduced that number to 200 and we're making more frequent deposits. But it led to a larger conversation on how can we better streamline payments. I think that the only person right now that uses my Active Center, in a way it should, is probably Mr. Murphy.
Really? People don't generally use that?
I've
Yeah,
tried
the-
many times and it always rejects my credit card that I use for everything.
I've heard a lot of complaints about it.
It's a clunky system, and for whatever reason, I actually want to watch what you do because you do it perfectly, that it enrolls you and then it marks you. So you do a great job with it. But I know it's been difficult for some. So looking at maybe one of the suggestions from it was, and this would be a change. But one of the suggestions was we have the capability to send out a monthly bill. And you could pay that right at the desk with a card. And we'd have a machine at the desk, or you could pay it online. And that's one option so that when people came in, they wouldn't have to worry about making a payment. They would just get a monthly statement. So I worked with my senior center to develop probably 13 new reports. And one of them was a bill that we could mail out or have at the desk if needed. So it's something for consideration, but I think I would value any input on that.
I think one of the things is that there is a lot of cash, which we all know when we go to classes, that floats around. And the objective would be to minimize that cash. So a billing process would be great. You had mentioned also maybe there could be some kind of a, we have a, what do you call it, a card that we would just charge against. It's the same thing.
Well,
as
when you
that.
check into each class, couldn't that be the source of accounting for how much you've accrued for the month?
In a perfect world, yes, and that would be the ultimate objective, but we gotta get
Simpler
there.
seems better.
Yes, definitely. So limiting the cash and the procedure, the audit was about cash procedures. And I found it interesting that they didn't say, well, that we had an excess. We mentioned the $500, but there's a lot of cash that floats around here. We really have to work at limiting that just for everybody.
The pool did
You know,
it
the
this
internal
summer.
control. Did
We-
they?
Yeah, we brought it way down and using Visa, using just new modern things and worked beautifully. And it
Right.
cut back a lot because we also had cash flowing all over the place. you know. Envelopes, this is this.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Most people work very happily with credit cards lately, so let's get ourselves up into the coming years and do it right. So, yeah, it's made quite a difference.
What kind of machines did you need to accomplish that?
They got the small ones
The
with
square.
Square.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
They used the
Or even
square.
Venmo can be.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
used the square and it
Yeah.
worked beautifully.
We're old, David.
So Square is compatible, so that's good to hear because Square, along with we use CardPoint now, which they charge a pretty high fee.
Oh,
So Square is supported by my senior center, which is
Right.
good because I think there's only 5, softwares that are. So in theory, we could have something at the front where you could pay and then your ledger at the end of the month would be 0. Or you could choose not to pay and your ledger, you would just pay on a monthly basis. But it's something for consideration to streamline cash processes and maybe get away from it a little. I know the library has gotten away from it. And, but I know change is scary and I, certainly want to be thoughtful about it and see what people think, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing you have to be careful too is, so those things like the Square or some of the mobile devices, they trigger security alerts on your card. So some people their card won't work tomorrow because they used it somewhere and it was a security alert. So you have to pay attention to that aspect of it. So
And that may be why we went with CardPoint, because I know that Ron was involved in the conversation around it. So CardPoint also has the ability to have a machine too. But we certainly would want to consult IT before doing anything like that, just to make sure that things like that weren't going to happen, but that's a
Yeah,
good
so you have
point.
to understand what triggers a fraud alert to different credit card companies once you put it in, because you could have a ton of people where it just doesn't go through. They don't know why, and then you get a call at your phone at home and says, hey, did you authorize this, you know, that kind of, so. But do you want to set up a small subcommittee to look at this?
Mm.
Or-
I think that would be great.
What,
I
what
do.
about other centers? They must be in the same boat, right?
Mm-hmm. So a lot of centers have gotten away from cash.
Yeah,
So, but I know that that's a pretty integral part of a lot of the operation here. Yes. But, you know, and hopefully someone at the front can help streamline a process, but it is difficult. I mean, I feel bad for Richie when, you know, people are like, can I make a payment? Can I make?
Right.
And, I don't know that that's the most, you know, user-friendly way or, so,
I mean, even at self-checkout at Stop and Shop, there's a person there to help, right? So if we're gonna hire somebody here from 8:30 to 12:30, right?
yeah.
Maybe that's the person we start off with helping.
You could just implant chips in everything.
We can.
Yeah.
Wait,
$5.
Right. I'd like to serve on that committee. Anybody else?
Jim is the best user apparently, so
Yes.
Jim's on the.
You're such an asshole.
So in my industry, before you can launch a medical device product, you have to do what's called human factor testing, which is let someone try and use it and see if they can.
Let's find a sucker.
Yeah.
Jim is on the human factor test.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
was running all my reports and I was very impressed by your,
The- the-
He's been into the weeds on this for a long time.
I've
Oh,
complained and
yes.
whined about it, but
highly
nothing,
confident.
nothing seems to change. It's
You-
not,
You
it's
can
not,
affect the change now, Jim.
it's not onerous, but it's just too many steps. That's
Yeah.
what most people complain about. It's just, you shouldn't have to go to this, to this, to this, to this, before you could pay.
Submit.
Yeah,
Right.
it's way too complicated.
I've had the same bank here in town for 30 years, and every time I go to the ATM, it asks me if I want English or Spanish.
Exactly.
First thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
true. It's
I'm gonna
true.
pass it.
Yeah.
There's also options too, that you can enroll in programs right at the computer. And you can enroll in lunches right at the computer, so that would probably be a part of that
Yeah.
subcommittee too.
Yeah,
But it,
right at this
How about the
screen on the
screen
front
up front?
desk.
Computer.
yeah,
Really?
You could sign up for future things at that screen.
Oh,
Nobody knows that. I'll bet.
No.
nobody knows.
no idea.
from playing with the settings a lot, I've
Wow.
realized that.
Interesting.
When they come for
Maybe we
select
need
board
more
meetings, you can
screens.
have them swipe the card.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Great
Every-
idea.
Every other Tuesday night, swipe the card.
Whatever to make it easier for people, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so subcommittee potentially for that.
We have Jim and Elaine.
You're gonna pay for this.
You're on the cash committee. How excited are you?
When I send out your Thanksgiving dinner,
Yeah, I did my-
don't look too closely.
So 10-year anniversary planning, Patty Smith is leading the formation of a subcommittee. She's reached out to some members already. What she did is she retrieved a list from 2013 on who sat on this board, who sat on Social Service League. And then we also looked at who sat on the Friends, and she was able to identify about 10 people. That isn't a limited group. If anyone else wants to partake in that, certainly speak up to Patty or myself if you want to be on that committee. So and also I think it would be a nice honor to honor the individuals who have names that are dedicated to the rooms during the celebration. So
Along that line, I think it would be good to invite the families of those people
yep,
to speak about who the people were. date for that yet?
So the date, I believe that is on early December 6th, maybe, is the date that we are going to meet. So we should have a tentative date after that meeting and
June of 25.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at.
yeah, June or maybe a little later, just
Yeah.
pending HVAC. Because we don't want it to impede, but
Oh,
that would be nice, June.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know what that will look like, right? If we do an all-day event. We found a lot of posters upstairs that we can showcase with the original design. We could do storytelling, we could do a panel, so this could potentially be, because there's so much history, an all-day event that we have things going on to honor it, or it could be after lunch into the evening. So that's more to be determined, but if there's thoughts on that, certainly share.
How big an event were you thinking about?
I think that it'll be regardless, it'll be an evening time video, and there'll be interviews and some storytelling and a dinner. But I think there's potential to probably extend it a bit into the day as well, with everything that there is to celebrate over 10 years.
We can do it ourselves during the week, well, here,
Mhm.
right, have some events specific to
Yeah,
the anniversary.
which would be great.
I'm bringing that up because initially, after the ugly start, we never did get to honor people named on the board.
Right.
Tell us more about this ugly start.
No, I'm not going there. It was very unpleasant
Oh.
and, I'm wondering if it's time to honor the donors. I mean, the people who,
Well, that's what she's talking about.
We just been talking about.
Well, I
Oh,
thought, they thought they were just talking about the people's names, like.
No, they got like Wayne Sawchuck, Bob Hoyler, Glenn Pratt.
I was talking.
There are lots
She
of
said
donors.
something about 10 or 12 people.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you
Think
go
she's-
elsewhere, like to that board or everything else, we could touch base with them. A lot of them wouldn't come, but
So I think she's talking about the people who donated, but don't necessarily have a room or a function.
No, but on the front, on the board in the front is what you're talking about, as you come in the door.
no, not at the door, one on the right.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, on the way in or on the way out, yeah, on the right, on the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, those were the original designers and we were gonna have a basement, then we weren't gonna have a basement, all of that.
Apartment building next to it.
Well, she's talking about donors, original donors.
I'm talking about original donors.
Beyond what's on the board?
What's on the board are the people who donated money.
Yeah.
But don't necessarily have a room name.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
Right.
not just room specific,
Yeah.
donors at large.
Yeah.
As long as I.
I agree with that sentiment. I'm sorry if I didn't say that.
So the meeting on the 6th, that's to start planning this?
Yes,
What time is that meeting? again?
I will find out for you
Okay.
and I will get that. We're now accepting donations for Toys for Tots. It is due by December 6th. And then there are a couple other just updates at the bottom on services that we had over the last month. So we provided services for events to 2,092 people, meals 329, and services including social work outreach shine to 185 people, which is an 8.6% increase. Website traffic revealed 456 new users and reached 4142 people, which is a 6% increase from the prior month.
Good report. Get a motion on the report?
Accept.
Second? Well, on the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, great. Subcommittees, we talked about the pergola earlier. So when we did have the accounting, we had some 17 grand left from the CPC. And that's not enough to do the awnings, right?
Right, not nearly.
I think David and I will get up there with some 4x8 sheets of plywood. And,
Blue tarps.
yeah, we'll take care. Now, it was also a discussion that it perhaps is an opportunity to go back to CPC. I don't know. How much, what were we looking for an awning? Was that about 25?
It was considerably more. It was
Wow.
42,000, I
Oh,
think.
geez.
Number.
Yeah, we had two quotes. One
Get some
was,
good plywood, David.
I guess.
there was the first, if we did one. It's written down here somewhere. 12, confuse me. Oh, Evans, here it is, I'm sorry. One sun cover was 12,650. And two would be 24,500.
24.
So, but then it changed that the present, how it was going to sit was above the rafter versus below, which will have a different visual totally. So we kind of held off because the time of year.
Yeah.
We're not even clear on the usage. We don't know how much money.
And we
will
also
last.
discussed the idea that it might be good to just go through a whole season and see how it actually gets used and see where the sun is and see
Yeah.
what all transpires over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have time. We have 3 years to spend the balance. And if we don't spend the balance, it goes back to CPC and then we go ask for it again.
Mm.
So it's not the end,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean, for money as
Right.
far as that goes. But,
But if the $6,000 power comes out of that as well,
no, 6 grand is not coming out of it. The 6 grand is coming out of a different budget.
okay.
There's a different line item for us altogether, separate. And so the only thing we do need is electricity out there. But it's not something that has to be put in tomorrow. So what we talked about when Glenn was here was specifically using the pergola the way it is and identifying the programs that we want to do under that pergola, not just sit under there, right? Right. And we haven't done that yet to really identify how to use it. Now, the library did some extensive studies where the people sat out there to see where the sun was, right? And though we're all good at telling, town hall where the sun shines, it's a little more scientific. So for us, we still haven't decided what we want to do under the pergola, right? We haven't decided what type of furniture we're going to need under the pergola. And then we can decide what kind of shade we need or roofing or covers. Glenn did say to me, though, that before you start hanging things on there, you have to do somewhat of an engineering study to make sure that it's going to be supported, and then what the maintenance of those are going to be. Are they going to have to come down in the winter, the windy season? They're going to blow up, that type of stuff. So before you put them on, you've got to understand, if we buy these, what is the maintenance?
We already know something about that because these particular ones that we're looking at have, they're motorized, so they
Okay.
can be moved easily, and they have a housing at the end of their travel. So once the thing is folded up, it's enclosed and
In a house.
protected from exposure to the elements. And the motor and all that stuff are designed to be outside, so there's not much to do for them.
Okay,
They're-
so then that requires power.
That's right. Those
So
would
we're
require
gonna, we're gonna need additional power for that, right?
Yes, that would need power.
Right, so now we've already expanded the scope of power,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
But these will be 110 volt. You won't need a 220.
right, but it's gonna be
Supply.
hardwired,
Yes,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's right.
so they're gonna have to run whole. So,
Mhm.
that's my suggestion is, maybe we get together like in March after we've taken a look at it and see what we want to do out there.
Yep.
I would put in $10,000 for the Springtown meeting to budget for electrical needs for outside
Mhm.
power. Something like that would cover what we
Yeah.
need.
Yep.
We have some plugs out here
We
already.
do, yeah, we have one.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Yeah, they're probably talking about a separate little breaker panel outside that could be accessed
Right.
from the outside.
right.
And off of that would distribute whatever else we need, right?
For our outdoor kitchen.
Easy.
Good idea.
So,
Great idea.
so I would suggest doing that. I was planning for the,
All right.
10,000 in the Springtown meeting.
Yep.
Identify what we want to do out there. See how long this patio furniture will last. Then what are we gonna use that for? that whole area, not just under the pergola, but that whole area. We want,
Right.
what do we want to do?
And how do you store it? Where do we store it? You know, that can be cumbersome.
Furniture, yeah.
Winter time.
I have been looking into some grants and I talked to Cassandra a little bit about this, but there could be a potential opportunity for a sensory garden of some nature if that ever interested someone, but there may be a grant that could support that.
Okay, yeah, be good. Yeah, it's,
Sorry, what kind of garden?
A sensory garden?
It's regarding.
sensory.
Okay.
I would be in favor of it if there were tomatoes. Just letting you know right now.
And
No, don't laugh, Vickers, don't laugh, it was just brought up.
Yeah.
We actually have just had a request that next summer, the children would like to start a garden up at the pool or somewhere in the area. They would like to grow some vegetables, and do some things. It's funny you mentioned it because it just
Yeah.
all came up. The one thing I will warn all of you is the wind. We have a wind issue here and it bangs into the building.
Yeah.
And it bangs hard up top, so you kind of have to watch, just kind of watch the natural winds
Yeah, where it is, yeah.
when you're planning it to make sure that your things are anchored and they're down safe. I mean, we had to do some extras
Plenty of
on the
plans.
solar panels just to make sure they're okay. They do.
Took my parents into Boston yesterday afternoon. And my father was reminiscing about the Victory Gardens, because he grew up in Mission Hill.
Yep.
We'd go down with my grandfather and they had a garden, Victory Garden. I'm like, we probably should have something like that. And I thought maybe Holly Hill Farms would have something like that, but yeah,
Yeah.
having a Victory Garden would be kind of nice.
We're just talking about it and we're just starting to figure how big, the kids want to try to,
Where would you put it?
we've got choices. We could go to the end over this side, which is a good spot. There's good sun. You also could go over here and
Like
destroy some of that god awful brush that's in there and put it in there and tier it, which is also something that might be kind of pretty and nice.
Well, if you put it on this end, that precludes your pickleball court, so that covers two bases at once.
It's funny you bring it up because I think that's something that everybody enjoys. When I was working, our building was one of the first buildings in Crown Colony in Quincy. And we did a big garden. We had a big garden on the side and we had a company from Cambridge that came down and helped us lay it all out and told us what were the best vegetables to use as starters and how to work it. And they were well worth it. In the first year, they came like every month and, they gave you another lesson on what you should do to make it successful. You wouldn't believe the vegetables we got out of piece of property that you would never think you'd get anything out of.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a fun thing to do.
And that might be a nice intergenerational opportunity. as
Exactly,
well.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking was that. And we have enough people, believe me, in town that are generationally love gardens and love to do gardens. So I bring Joe Legel in here and he'll be
Yeah.
happy. It's gonna be, we'll have the biggest tomato farm you ever saw.
Exactly. Now, can I just ask, what do you mean by a sensory garden?
Sensory.
I'm not sure what that.
Senses meaning your thought
Trickling
pattern.
water, butterflies, kumbaya.
Yeah, I mean, is that what you're saying? Like just a
Yeah.
pleasant place?
That's what it is.
A quiet place to be.
Okay.
I like the terrace idea. I
Stimulates
think
your
that's
senses.
gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah, we get rid of some of the
yeah,
garbage. Yeah. it's up there.
Set the hill in between.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be, and then it can be both.
yeah.
I didn't know,
entities
maybe
working
some of the
together.
plants were sensory enhanced.
I don't know if that's too shady over there.
Yeah, they smell.
Definitely.
But there again, we have to watch it.
Yeah.
When's the sun coming up? Where does
Yeah.
it go? I mean, I know how it goes up top.
Yeah.
Because for the same reason, I have to watch it, but if we angled it.
Yeah.
Bringing it down, which way can we go?
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
The pergola is very sunny until about noon.
Right.
and then it shifts.
And the
Mhm.
shifts, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's stand down on the pergola top until, for the time being, at any rate. Vans, I think we're all set on vans. We report about that it's gonna be a newer van. And I know Bob's working on all that, so we'll wait and hear on that. I don't think we have any other subcommittees. Liaison report. Taffy, do you have anything?
No, nothing further.
Beth?
Just we're staying up with the Habitat people, they're cranking along there.
That house is looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
so
yeah.
shocked how they fit that on the lot.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, they're so, getting volunteers and, they're signing up for winter. I think they're moving inside, so.
So they've got enough volunteers?
Yeah, they said that they've been doing okay with
Yeah.
volunteers.
They were booked through November.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're on target as far as they're concerned to have the people move in June. They're
Oh.
looking to do the dedication beginning in June. So. Yeah, and they're looking for trying to see if we have any other suggestions for locations, because they.
Yeah, I think they need to raise another 65,000. So they're looking to see if people will, host some sort of time where they raise money at their homes, or if we want to do something collectively as a group somewhere.
65 grand for that house or for something else?
But that's if they,
That-
Oh, okay.
To finish it out, the fundraising. They're doing a gingerbread house build or something. That's their holiday fundraiser.
St. Stephen's, I think, did it last year. They buy the gingerbread house kits and they build gingerbread houses as a group,
Like,
and they raise a couple $1,000 doing that.
Of note, St. Stephen's donated $500. I just want to share. That was very kind of them.
Any other liaison reports? Okay. All right, let's move to our general comments. What's cooking?
Can I just, say Sarah Livermore has,
Oh, yeah.
resigned from the board.
Yes.
Life has been.
Sarah.
Oh, did-
Sarah Livermore resigned, the associate position is open, so it was sent off to the town clerk, so she knows that the position is open, so anyone who wants to fill that position would have to fill out the application online. We can review it as a board, because we have a subcommittee that does board development. And Tana pretty much headed that up for such a long time, and Diana has done some of it as well. And they would be filling the remainder of that term. That's how that works for the town. So I'm not sure when her term was ending, but they filled the remainder of that term. I think there was one woman who wanted to join. I forget who that was.
She was going to observe today. Her name is Megan Fisher. She's local to the community, and she had noted that she was interested in participating more at the center. I advised her to reach out to this board or the town clerk. And we had invited her to observe this meeting. Fortunately, she had an incident with her dog that required immediate attention and was unable to be here. But in her email, she did note that she submitted an application, so.
Oh,
I had someone who had asked me about it too, and David. Ford. I'll-
Get a bigger table. So
Which is,
the main thing that I would like to talk about under the public comment section here is as we're all aware, selecting a new director for Elder Affairs, we all agreed that the process was flawed. And we were looking for two remedies when we had our large meeting here in August. And one remedy was to have the town come up with a standard process to where they select directors and department heads, because we felt that our director search was different than other searches that other departments went through for their director. The second remedy we asked for is to have our voices heard and weighted, not just heard, but weighted in a decision process. Those are the two remedies we all agreed to go pursue. We went in front of the select board. And Taffy was there, myself, and we asked for the remedy, one, which is a looking into how to streamline and define department heads and directors. The select board voted, 5-0 to do that. So they tasked Megan James with rewriting and coming back to them with a process that made sense for the town. So that remedy was satisfied. The second remedy we asked for was to have a subcommittee set up by the select board to review the Town Managers Act to see if that's an avenue or an area of our remedy to have our voices heard and weighted. And they voted 3-2 against setting that committee up. So our option was to look into it ourselves and maybe in the spring go to town meeting and make a recommendation to change the Town Managers Act if that's what we felt would solve the remedy. But at that point, we had the fall town meeting upon us, and there was a few suggestions that we put it on there. But they had, I think, 48 hours to gather 120 signatures. So Taffy went ahead and pulled a petition to pursue it, and she got 137 signatures in 48 hours, which I'll tell you is a record for the town. And I can't thank you enough for that. A lot of people were engaged, obviously, in this process, not just in this room, but elsewhere in town, and wanted to see some change because it felt like a lot of people, their voices weren't being heard. So she filed that. We got some help in writing the petition, what the language would be. And then we were asked to go in front of the different boards. So when you go in front of the town meeting, usually advisory board and the select board and maybe 1 or 2 other boards who would be involved would vote in favor or not in favor of that. So we went in front of the advisory board. And that's on Zoom, so anyone can go back and watch that. And there was 6 or 8 board members there. The chairwoman of the board happened to have been in HR for 45 years or so. And basically asked us a lot of questions. We gave our comments, our initial drive about how we wanted our voices to be weighted. We felt that, during the process, no one asked us our opinion. So we wanted to make sure that maybe this was the right tool to have that happen. So they all really pushed back on that changing of the Town Manager Act. We told them that it's basically a living document. It's not something that's, it's not the Bill of Rights where it's etched in stone. You can change it. And we felt that the process did not favor our weighted opinion, and the only real way to do it is that. So they all had some great feedback. They gave us a lot of comments, a lot to think about. There's a lot of answers that I couldn't answer, because some of the comments were good. A lot of them we did defend, rightfully so. But Diane Kennedy, who used to be a select board member, is on that committee, and she said that the select board don't participate in the selection process of the fire chief and the police chief or the finance director. Those are the 3 current positions that are there. Basically, the town manager does go through all of that, and he does make his selection, and then the board has the right to accept it or not accept it. And as we know, in the last 2 cases of the police chief and fire chief, they chose not to accept it and pushed him to go back and back and back until the selection was acceptable to them. So we would, we would have that same problem. Yeah, so it would a lot of pressure from the townspeople. So in the meantime, I worked with Megan James to come up with a remedy for us that would be suitable to where our voices would be heard and weighted. And basically, she had drafted, and we sent it out to everybody here, the current draft that she has of getting us involved early on in the decision making. So
Any, for any appointment.
for any
not
appointment.
Specifically.
So the header did say Department of Elder Affairs on it. Yeah, I was really surprised. So, because I had talked to one of the select board members over the weekend. I said, you know, if there's one for the Department of Elder Affairs, there's obviously one for all the other departments, right? So we don't know if that's true, but specifically to us, which is what we're focused on, this seemed to solve that remedy. So we went in front of the select board because they wanted to vote one way or the other if they were going to support Change Town Managers Act. So we explained to them that this seems to satisfy what we want to do, and that we would withdraw the petition on the town meeting floor for consideration. So that's where we stand. We can take a vote of this board to see whether or not we want to support withdrawing the petition is something we want to support. So the only one who can withdraw the petition is the one who filed the petition. So that would be Tabby. And it will be printed in the warrant, and it will be posted at the town meeting. And it's a question of whether we vote on it or not at the town meeting. And based on the number of questions that we had by the advisory board, we'd have a tough time on the town meeting. And on the town meeting floor, you need 2/3 majority vote to pass a citizen's petition. So at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, we would have to have at least 90 people say yes to that. At least, because advisory, capital, board, select board, there's like 30 there, right? They're going to say no. So just about the majority of them have to say yes.
Well, what's the other thing that Megan James came up with? Is that something that also has to go to town meeting?
No, all hiring policies and procedures are approved by the town manager, and the select board said that they were going to review them.
Yeah,
For
we
approval.
asked them. So we just got that within 48 hours of when we met with the select. Got the copy of this policies and procedures thing, which I was very happy to see. I mean, it does spell out what we want. It wants our input into qualifications, requirements for the job in the beginning, which we didn't have this time. And it spells out at the end that the board will review, it has some process for being involved in the hiring, in the final decisions about the hiring process, and does not give us any authority to make the appointment. It's still a town manager's appointment. But it certainly seems like it provides the process that we were looking.
But does that include all departments now?
Well, I was surprised. I don't have it with me. So in front of
Yeah,
me.
so let me
I hadn't noticed that. I thought it was all departments. So
let me call it up real quick. I could be wrong.
seems to me it should be.
Hiring policy and procedure. Yeah. So this is a town of Cohasset, fill the position, company's overall success. Town of Cohasset hiring, following process, hiring process and procedures. The HR director will be alerted for any position needed to be filled by town manager or department head. So this does include department head and yes, I'm confusing this with the other one. So this is for all department heads.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
What it is, the original one, they had a flow chart that was specific for elder affairs.
Okay. See that.
So this one is
So that covers our bases.
covers everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so part of my misgivings about this petition was that it was directed just to our
Yeah.
You know, and that was because we were doing so quickly. I mean, if I were to do that again, just off the top of my head, I would have changed all the departments. But, you know, it was interesting to hear what Diane Kennedy said, that the selectmen really don't. They really don't have any control over it.
Well, they did for fire and police.
No, they did.
No.
So how did that change then?
So they refused to accept his nomination.
They have the
So-
right.
Go back
to
and find
refuse.
another nominee.
So, but the select board,
Level.
Right.
the select board, so this puts this new deal puts everybody in that same situation, right?
Oh.
It doesn't change anything. I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't change those.
Those-
three positions.
So the Town Manager Act is different than this. This HR policy.
Yeah.
Is for all department heads and directors for the town.
Right.
So
Except.
outside of that,
But it still goes, it has to be reviewed by the Board of Selectmen.
No.
No, it doesn't.
all the hiring in the town is by the Human Resource Director, who then forwards her recommendations to the town manager, and he's the ultimate decision maker. So we asked for our voices to be weighted and heard in the process.
Right.
And this states that they will come to our board or any board where their department head is, and they will meet with that board, construct a job description, construct what you want to see, go out and get resumes, come back to the board and filter some of those resumes. And then after that's done, then it's pushed back to HR and they make the final interviews and final.
Without the select board involved at all.
The select board is not involved in hiring anyone in the town except for the town manager. That's the only person they can hire and fire.
But I'm confused again, because police and fire was changed because he wanted somebody else for those. And they were
Let me
changed.
correct- Yeah, let me explain.
So-
So police and fire was never changed. So we have a town managers act. So the select board only hires one person in the
Right.
town, that's the town manager.
Right.
When they hire him, he signs a contract for a period of time.
Yeah.
And then they have what's called the Town Managers Act, which are guidelines and rules for him to govern the town. And in there, it says you can hire and fire anyone you want to in the town. But when it comes to police, fire, and finance director, you have to run it past us first.
Us,
Board of Selectmen.
okay.
And the Board of Selectmen has the right to accept or not accept the nominee. So in the case of the police and fire, he said, this is the person I want, and they said, we don't agree with you, go find somebody else.
But then we're not covered by that, right? Because it's just fire, finance
Fire.
and police.
Finance is covered by that.
And this new program doesn't change that.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't change the Town Managers Act. What it changes is the inconsistency that there was in
Yeah.
selecting department heads
Okay.
and directors. Because one assistant director got
Yeah.
promoted and
Yeah.
no interviews, no nothing, right? And then, one director had to go through the process of the worldwide search. So
Well, Taffy, does this satisfy what you're trying to do?
I'm satisfied with this, although what I said to the selectmen, I want to hold their feet to the fire. I'm not willing to withdraw the petition totally. I want the petition tabled so that we can bring it up again. Because I want them, I want the selectmen somehow, I asked them that night to commit to supporting this policy now. Because they don't really have to do that. They all verbally.
Right.
Were very happy with me saying, we'll table this if you'll agree that this is the way to go. But they all said basically that was not their purview to make decisions on policy.
Right, they can't. They
Yeah.
can't.
So, yeah, I'm comfortable with doing this. I know that some of the seniors are going to be very distressed about it. I've already heard from some, because they still feel so strongly, but I think trying to change the Town Manager Act just for this one department.
Well, no, for the whole town.
Yeah, well, we can't,
Well-
that's what this petition is for, it is
Yeah.
for this one. department.
Yeah,
The way this was worded,
Yeah.
it was for this.
yeah, it's definitely.
It's not-
I
it's
think
not-
it's really hard to change the town manager's act though, because it's basically comes from the state and all the towns
are kind of under it. So I don't think so. I mean, I've talked
Right,
to
so-
Paul Carlson, who was selectman, chairman of the board of selectmen when it was put into effect. He said to me, no, it's supposed to be a working document. You shouldn't be able to change things.
It is, just gets certified by the state.
Yeah.
So once you change it, you send the changes into the state and they certify it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's not something that they tell you what you have to do or not do, but I think if we were gonna change it, I think it should change for all departments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was what I want to do, is I want to have it tabled indefinitely. And then, hopefully the town will start operating under its better HR policies. I think it was David Fry, who was, definitely a big supporter of all of this, to help us with this, said, you really actually, was Jack Creighton who said to me, it's our other big support. You got what you wanted. I mean, we got them to respond in HR and say, we need, the process needs to be better. And they did that, and that's what we wanted in the beginning.
So they,
Well-
they definitely heard us. So
But does it have any weight?
that we can, so
But now tabling the petition, is that something that can be rewritten again? And then I guess,
you can file a petition anytime you want.
yeah, but I mean, that for all departments.
No, I don't think it could be rewritten for all departments.
I mean,
Nothing
it would be a new petition, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, is, if somebody wants to do that, and it won't be me. You have a regular town meeting, you only need 20 signatures, I guess it is. That's,
Yeah, special town meeting, it was a much higher bar. Regular town meeting, you only need 20 signatures. You had to get 100.
So what is the recommendation? That we stand down until the spring and see if we need it and decide then?
No, I don't think we wait until spring. I think that the only thing we can do is vote in support of withdrawing the current petition. And supporting the new HR policy and hiring department heads.
Is it possible to get a copy of this policy? So we could.
It came in the email with the,
Yeah.
booklet.
Oh, with this.
yeah, so there were 2 attachments.
He says, I didn't
So it's not withdrawing it, it's tabling it.
Well,
Yeah,
that's-
slightly.
no,
Right, yeah.
what-
No,
we have to
so-
check on the wording.
Yeah, so basically, we're checking with Tracy because when you withdraw it, you're basically taking it off the table for consideration. And I think it's dead after that. I don't know that you could keep it open for another town meeting. I'd have to ask her that. I don't believe you can. I don't think you can keep a petition open for a period of time past the town meeting.
But tabling it indefinitely.
Means you're never gonna vote on it. It withdraws it, right? So you'd have to go back and do the process again. That's how I read the state.
Oh, okay.
But if we would decide to go through the process again, we would go for all departments
Yeah,
and go for a new petition. for that.
right.
And you're comfortable if we stand down and follow Megan James's approach at this point? Okay. All right, so I guess
I'm the one that has to draw the petition, the select board, when we have that discussion, and they said, yes, but it would be good if you had a vote of the.
Sure.
CA.
okay.
We're in support of Taffy withdrawing
Yeah.
the petition.
Has what Megan James has written up, is that been put into effect?
Yes.
That-
It is on, I had her posted on the town website.
Okay.
So it's in the public domain and that's what she has to go by.
Okay,
That's the policy. So she had posted it the morning of our meeting in front of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So it's now on there.
okay.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
No.
put it into words.
All right, a motion to stand down on the petition.
Use the term
Yeah.
stand down.
I think a motion to
It's-
support Taffy's decision to withdraw.
What's wrong with stand down?
Oh, I'm just.
Sounds very
I don't
military.
understand.
Well, that's where it comes from.
Not everybody does.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so we have a motion, has it been seconded?
Second,
All right, discussion on the motion, on the motion, on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for all the hard work,
Yeah,
Ted.
thank you.
Yeah.
yes,
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul.
That was,
And Paul, supporting you.
you needed your own desk out there the day you got the, all the signatures, it's amazing. Okay, any other comments? Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
okay, discussion on the motion, on the motion, on the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? We are finished.